The National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, has given 48-hour ultimatum to higher institutions to submit the data of their students to the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, that's NELFUND, for processing students' applications for loans. The association added that the inability of some institutions to submit the required data is denying the students the chance to apply for the loan. Now, NANS, through the national president, Comrade Lucky Monife, on Monday, said that the deadline became necessary because of the July 12th deadline that was issued by NELFUND for institutions to upload the data on their portal. So NELFUND has already given a deadline, and that's why NANS had to actually come out and say, for institutions, you need to send the students' data so that we can meet up with this. But we were having a heated argument in the studio yesterday on ATN Blowout with our guest, who said he has spoken to some students, and they said that they were not able to access these loans. They were not able to register now, because you need to register through your institution and all. And then you know that the government have told us time and time again that, oh, this number of students, thousands of students have already registered.
Yes. And
then there's a deadline for when the money will be released to them and all of that. So getting to hear this from the side of the students now, thank God we have Martin Sensuyo with us, the SUG president of Uniport. Let's also get to find out, have you had cases of students who have tried to register for this particular loan and they probably were not able to register?
We're talking about students, right? And the national body that houses all students in Nigerian universities is the National Association of Nigerian Students, right? The Bible says, and I quote, that if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? There are two factions of National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS. There are two factions. NANS has two presidents. NANS has two ESCOs. So who instructs
you see that as a problem?
And who instructs what? Who's going to tell us what to do? You see, when people begin to do certain things, they do not look at or consider the aftermath. They do not consider the aftermath. There is a procedure, there is a constitution, that for us to have a leader for NANS, this is the process. Senators should come and vote. Who are the senators? SUG presidents of different institutions in the country registered, or their delegates. If they are not available, let them come and vote. And one day, one person comes up, declares himself president.
So you believe that the process was not...
This thing it's a reason enough to destroy whatsoever thing they want to do for Nigerian students as it regards this student loan is a very perfect idea. But the disbursement process, I bet you, is going to be challenging.
Why? Because of the NANS issue?
Yes, until they organize NANS rather.
But NANS is actually not. They're not part of the stakeholders that are actually in charge of disbursing these loans. We're talking about the institutions now.
Who are the beneficiaries?
The students now.
Students are beneficiaries. What is the leadership structure housing the students in Nigeria? It is NANS. It is NANS. How do we do certain verifications? So you mean any person can just wake up and then claim to be a student, make applications and they pay?
But NANS have been functional, even with double, like you have stated, double leadership. They have been functional. How has that affected them as a body?
How it has affected them?
Yes.
Why won't it? If we have a parallel government in a particular state, for instance, don't you think it will affect the activities of the state? Don't you think it will affect... Okay, for instance, what is happening in our dear state today, where we have two assemblies? Are you not seeing it affecting the productivity of this particular state?
Okay, now let's look at the students registering now. How have you heard cases of students who have actually complained about not being able to register? But some people are giving some allegations that there probably could be another website that is functional, that the website given to the student might not be functional, but those are just talks everywhere. So from your experience now with the students, have you heard cases of students who were not able to register?
That is the implication of
Have you heard
fractional
cases?
Students, I don't even
What is
know
the experience of students?
Most of my students have been reaching out to me that they are not able. So whom do
That
I
they're
reach
not
out
able to register.
Yes. You see me, I hate priding on illegality. Who will I reach out to at the national body? At the national level of NANS, who will I reach out to? Who am I going to reach out to?
What's wrong with reaching out to the leadership of NANS? If you actually have to reach out.
Who will you reach out to when there are two presidents? Whom are you going to reach out to? Who becomes the authentic president?
All right, let's get your thoughts on the student loan, Stephen. Some Nigerians believe that the student loan is going to be another big problem. Now, some people are already talking about corruption in the student loan process, the registration process. And some other people believe that if students are giving loan, how do you expect them to pay? So what is your thought generally on the student loan scheme?
I like to believe that in the wisdom of Mr. President, when they started pushing this idea, they must have considered loan repayment and all of the concerns, such as our SUG president has revealed to us. But if in my belief that all of this must have been looked into, how difficult is it? It's basically about the student data, who can access some of these loans. How difficult is it to get the registry department of each university send the student data that they have, students with registered matriculation numbers, over to NELFUND? So
there are students who have not registered. They just send the data of all their students.
Students, I believe every university has the database of students with matriculation numbers,
of course,
from the 100 level up to final year, depending. So how difficult is it to reach out to the registry department through the vice chancellor? However, do we always have to, I kind of feel that very more often than not, again, we enjoy these political drama that has to come with developmental issues.
I need to get what you said about reaching out to the schools now, because NELFUND is in communication with the schools. The students are registering with the institutions. Now the institutions are the ones submitting the data of these students to NELFUND. Now what NANS are saying is, hurry up with your submission because there's a deadline we need to meet. That's what NANS are saying.
Who is NANS asking to hurry up?
The institutions.
Now I dare ask again. It's even funny how a student loan should be time bound. Remember that you don't have. I don't think you have every university running the same academic calendar. So you should not even institute certain time frames for it. It should be a continuum.
Okay.
We're aware, for instance, aware that about 400 billion is a max for this program. I doubt if a school as University of Dhaka will have students take up loans up to be able to take out everything within that fund. So I believe maybe by quota system, the federal government has the database of each tertiary institution. Maybe by quota, give it out. It's very easy. You don't even have to forgive me.
Is the institution even aware that the students are finding it difficult to register, Martins?
I have been here on 2 different occasions, and there's this statement I hold very dear to, that development is not development until it is people-centered.
Yeah.
Whatsoever development you're giving to a people, you must make sure that particular development is affecting or impacting on the lives of the people directly.
Yeah.
And I hold firm to that particular statement. Before they go on with this disbursement, I think the federal government, through her agent, would have invited all leaders of all the tertiary institutions in this particular country. Just like the program I went for. You call all SUG presidents across the country, hold a day or two seminar with them. Tell them, this is what we are bringing to you people. What do you think will be the disbursement process? Everybody will begin to rub minds together. These are the people that are to benefit from this particular thing. He talked about calendar, the school calendar, that most schools do not run on the same calendar, and that is the truth. For those universities that have been affected by ASU strikes and other unforeseen circumstances, okay, like internal crisis and what have you, and their timetable have been affected, okay, it is through this discussion, this interaction, round-table interaction, that you begin to get those things, and then we know how do we get the matriculation number of students that have been affected these programs earmarked to run for 4 years, because of ASU strike, those persons are still in school. So if you ordinarily go by matriculation number, you also be denying those persons right because they are still in school. They are still in school. A program of 2017, 4 years, that is supposed to round off at 2021, that is 2021, but because of the strike and because of the pandemic too, some persons are still there and they want to benefit from this particular loan. What then happens? These are things you call people, you call young minds, student union leaders will sit down and brainstorm. You don't just overlook them.
But even the institutions,
unless they have another agenda that they want to tell us.
You see, this is exactly the problem. A lot of Nigerians believe that there's another agenda to this thing. A lot of Nigerians also believe that with the registration and a lot of students not being, because when there's a deadline and a lot of students are not able to register and they're in communication with the institutions. My question is, are the institutions aware that their students have not registered? If they are aware, then what are they doing about it? What are you doing about the fact that you are supposed to submit data and your students have not even registered? Like, why are we not getting stories in the news or in the media that, oh, these institutions are complaining that, oh, the deadline is so close because their students have not been able to register? We're not getting this side of the conversation at all.
Yeah.
To me, I've not even gotten any information about this students' loan. I've not.
Up until this moment.
I have not till this particular time. As the Students' Union Government President of the University of Port Harcourt, I have not gotten any information about the students' loan. I have not at all. So you expect me that by tomorrow we'll have 2 or 3 students come on air and then thank the federal government for their loan scheme, what have you, and you expect me to believe that they actually did something? If there is anything they want to do that they are not telling us, they should better tell us. Because if they want to tell us, there are procedures to these things. And most important of them, or the first step, the foundation of this thing, is to call for a stakeholders meeting of all presidents who brainstorm and then talk about how to. We don't place time, we don't place deadline on students' loan. We don't at all. Is there no continuity, or you just want to do it for a season and then abandon it? What are the repayment plans? These are things.
That's another thing that we need to look at, the repayment plan. What is the plan for the students to pay back these loans? Are you talking about the students who could not pay their fees? Students who probably, because they said there's also a business loan for the students can also take business loan. It's part of the students' loan. So are we also talking about students who are not able to raise funds for their business? Are these the students we are asking to pay the government at the moment? We know we've not really heard about the repayment plan yet. We're just hearing about the registration. But then I'm very interested in the fact that students are saying they cannot register. So who are the over 3,000 students that have registered currently if students cannot register? That's another big question. And talking about students, the students of Lagos State University on Monday, they staged a peaceful protest that was against the introduction of the 10,000 naira. This is next story.